Musicians, if you want to stand out from the crowd and make a name for yourself, it's time to redefine your identity. If you keep chasing trends and trying to play and sound like everybody else, you're going to struggle to make any sort of impact. But if you have the courage to embrace your uniqueness, you will find real success. So in this video, I'm showing you how to create an identity for yourself that makes you unforgettable. So I get it. We look at other musicians on social media and all of that, and we see them doing all of the fancy licks, riffs, and runs and chops. And we look in their comment sections and we see people talking about how good they are and singing their praises and all of that. And it makes us think that, oh, well, if I want to get that kind of recognition and if I want to get people to sing my praises like that, I need to be doing and playing and chopping and all of that kind of stuff like they are. And I've been there. I've thought that I had to do all of that kind of stuff if I wanted to get noticed too. But here's the truth that I discovered. All of that stuff is really what's keeping you struggling and keeping you from making an impact. And the reason for this is simple. It's because nobody likes a carbon copy of the thing that they like. Like, if you like the drink Dr. Pepper, right? Would you prefer to have the original Dr. Pepper or that Walmart brand Dr. Thunder? But this is what you see all over social media. A bunch of Dr. Thunder musicians trying to be like the originals, trying to do the stuff that they do so they get the same recognition. And drummers seem to be notorious for this. Like every drum video you see, they're all doing like all of the same chops and all of that. And don't get me wrong, it sounds like really good and these guys are really talented, but it's just another copy of a copy of a copy of people doing the exact same things. Now, I'm not trying to step on any toes here. I'm actually trying to break the whole foot off because this is something that is really important. See, because another thing that this does is it decreases our value as musicians. When people are looking to hire us, they're not seeing us in any sort of unique ways because everybody pretty much sounds alike. Everybody has the same identity. They're not like, I want to hire this band and this musicians because, and then proceed to name a bunch of differences. I mean, think about it. What's the reason that someone would pay, say, $5,000 to a band when they can pay $250 to another band that pretty much sounds the exact same way? And of course, there's much more to it than that, but this is how people who spend money think. But see, everything I've said so far is about external factors. But there's one more really detrimental reason that this whole lack of an identity thing is really detrimental, which leads me to this. But right before we get to that, if you're getting value out of this video so far, do me a quick favor and subscribe to the channel. I'm creating a lot more videos like this geared toward helping musicians like you be successful, and you don't want to miss them. And I would really appreciate it. So I learned a while back that this whole lack of an identity thing really comes down to a matter of a lack of confidence in ourselves and our abilities. We tend to have really fragile egos and we let other things and other people dictate our self-worth. One of my most popular videos on this channel is about why I think musicians should stop doing gigs for $100. And by far the biggest pushback that I get on that philosophy is people saying stuff like, well, if I don't do the $100 gigs, somebody else is just going to do them and I won't be making any money. And this kind of response demonstrates this lack of confidence that I'm talking about, because what it's essentially saying is, I'm not confident enough to not accept what's being offered to me. So instead of fighting to get more or to create my own path, I'm just going to accept these pennies. And guess what happens to people with this attitude? They stay stuck making that $100 that they keep accepting. So what this all comes down to is that we musicians have to start standing in who we are and standing up for who we are. If we decide, for example, we're the musicians that like to play the music as it goes on the album and play it correctly, and they want somebody who improvises more, then let them go hire the person that improvises more. If someone comes along and offers you money for a gig that you don't like doing, turn it down, even if it's for a significant dollar amount. And look, I know what I'm saying here is a little easier said than done. And I know it's easier to just kind of blend in and go with the flow and just continue doing things the way you've been doing them. But the problem is you want to be successful, and blending in and going with the flow and doing things the way you've been doing is not going to get you there. Developing your own identity can be really hard, but you're now at a fork in the road, and you can decide to keep doing things the way you've been doing it and copying others and trying to be like others and going with the flow. But the problem is you know where that path leads. Or you can garner the courage to take the path less traveled, so to speak, and develop your own identity and walk in it and greaten the chances of creating the life that you want as a musician. And at the very least, you will be much more happier being yourself and doing your own thing rather than copying somebody else. So now you know you need to have your own identity as a musician. But what are the easiest ways to get there quickly and effectively? Well, I got 3 tips for you. But first, understand that having an identity is an evolving process, and you don't need to have it figured out overnight. But it isn't about guesswork. So here's the 3 tips. The first thing you want to do is just spend a little time thinking about what makes you unique and different. And when you come up with those things, be okay with them. You can always redefine who you are or who you want to be at any point, but embrace who you are right now and don't try to fit in with others. So just pause for a second and jot down the things that set you apart. Yes, do that right now. This is about defining you. Now, once you know what sets you apart, start leaning into the music and the styles and the genres that you truly enjoy, rather than what's popular. Think about the music and genres that excite you the most and just start blending them in with your own style. And this helps you create a memorable sound that's unique to you rather than just following trends. Now, for the 3rd tip, what you need to understand is that connecting with your audience on a personal level is the key to standing out. So what you want to do is start sharing parts of your musical journey and your influences and like the purpose behind your music and why you do what you do. When audiences understand your story and your vision, they connect with you as a person, not just as a musician. And this personal connection will help you and your music be more relatable and more memorable, and help you build an identity that resonates with audiences and fans and keeps them coming back for more. Now you know how to take control of your identity and stop blending in with other musicians. But there's one other important thing that you really need to know, because it's not just about being unique, it's about capturing attention and keeping it. So watch this video on how to stand out in a saturated music industry so that you learn practical strategies that will set you apart.